Hello, welcome to photoics.co.uk, and this is my second video, but I've done this kind of the wrong way. Earlier I reviewed the new lens I've got, which is the Nikon 16 to 35 f4. I thought it'd be good to show you all the equipment I use at the moment. This is basically all the main equipment for my bag. I thought I'd just briefly go through it all, show you what I use every day, and my quick thoughts on each thing. I'll go through each lens and do an in-depth review later. So first of all, we have the Nikon, however you want to say it. I'm going to say Nikon because that's just easier. D700. Obviously it's a full frame body and it's a very good camera. I've had in the past a Nikon D50, D200, D90 and another D700. At the moment this is the only one I've got. I had to sell one. On here I've got the Nikon DK17M magnifying eyepiece. It just brings the viewfinder a bit closer to your eye. It makes things easier to see. Mounted on here we've got the lens I mentioned earlier, the 16 to 35 f4 VR. As I said in my other video, it's a really good weight combination. Not too heavy, it's not too light. The lens itself is nice and big, you can hold it well. I did go out earlier meaning to take some pictures of this lens, but I got a bit carried away with this one. This is the Nikon 300 f4. This is the old version, the AF version. As you can see, it's seen better days. It's a bit manky. On here I've also got a 1.4 converter, teleconverter, which turns it into a 420 f5.6. Should we just take that off here? This is a really weighty lens. It's sort of one of the old school Nikons. Solid metal, rubber grip and integrated lens hood. This thing really can take a battering. IQ wise, super sharp, really sharp. I was really surprised when I got this how sharp it was. The only downside to it is the focusing speed is quite slow. Earlier I was at a local airfield trying to take pictures of low flying jets. Both with and without the teleconverter it did struggle to keep up with things coming towards you especially. But for static objects or slow moving objects, really good lens, great 300mm reach, great quality. And here, the lens that every Nikon owner should use and own, the 24-70 f2.8. I made a point of getting this lens when I rebought all my camera gigs. I had to sell everything when I moved house. I rebought everything and I made a point of buying the best. This was the first lens I bought actually with the body from the same person, and well, everyone knows about this lens. It's super sharp, really good weight, really good range, especially on FX. 24-70 is good wide to semi-telephoto. I use this lens probably 80% of the time on the camera. It's a great walk-around lens, great for landscapes, great for portraits, great for street shooting, people, whatever you want. Here we have something a bit more specialised, the 105mm f2.8 micro macro. Again, it's a really big, solid lens. It's plastic this time. Same with the 24-70, it's plasticky as all new Nikon lenses are. Again, image quality is top notch, super sharp. This one has the VR, which when you're shooting macro is not particularly useful, but for portraits, really helpful. The VR works down to about 1.2 magnification. Beyond that is no good, just turn it off. As most macro shooters, I always shoot this manual focus. It's got full-time override, so it's an AFS lens. Really good for bugs, flowers, and I said portraits. It's really good portrait lens as well. The only downside with this lens is the filter thread is 62 opposed to the 24-70 and the 16-35, which is 77. And I should have also mentioned on the 300, 82mm filter size. That's a big bugger. Most people don't bother with filters on the front. Well, I suppose most people do bother with filters on the front because these things are so hard to get now. It comes with its own little filter holder. I think it's I can't remember what size that is, to be honest. What does it say? 39mm filters. If you ever buy one of these lenses second hand, make sure it comes with that glass piece. If it doesn't, your lens won't focus properly. Now, one of the only non-Nikon lenses I have at the moment is this, the Samyang 85mm f1.4. I actually sold my Nikon 85mm f1.8 to buy this. It comes in many brand names. This one is Samyang. There's Optica, Vivitar, Rockinon. There's loads of them. It's all the same lens, just different brand names. As you can see at the moment, I've got a Hoya UV filter on here. So let's take that off. This is a manual focus only lens, but it's one of the sharpest lens I own. It's fantastic. If you nail the focus, you melt your face with how sharp this thing is. It's 1.4, so obviously huge front element, huge hole to let the light through. The bokeh is fantastic. The colours are fantastic. It's actually really well made. It feels, I think it might be metal. It feels metal. That's plastic. This bit feels metal. The only bad thing about this is the focusing really is tight, and it's got a long travel from infinity to the close focus, which is 3.5 feet, but it's really stiff. I've heard other people with this lens say the same thing. I was hoping it was going to loosen up a little, but it hasn't. But yeah, this is a really brilliant portrait lens. At 1.4 it's tack sharp. Really impressed considering the amount of money this cost. I could buy 3 of these for the price of one of these, and second hand these really lose their value just because of the name. I was really sceptical first when I heard Samyang, but I took a punt on it and I'm really glad I did. It's a really good lens. Now, some of the other stuff I have in my bag, I don't use a lot of flash, but when I do, I use these. Now these are Nissan Di622s. These two are the Mark 1 versions, and as you'll see, they're actually for Canon fit. The reason for that being is not so long ago I used some Canon stuff. After I sold all my Nikon gear which I had first, there's about a 2-year break where I didn't have any photo equipment. And then when I finally got the money, I thought I'd try Canon. Bought a load of stuff, and as it turned out I didn't get on with the ergonomics of the cameras. I had a 50D and a 450D, but I bought these 2 flashes, and they're really good flashes. Obviously with the Nikon stuff I can only use them as optical slaves, but that's fine, they're so easy to set up. There's 2 buttons, one to turn it on, one to change the mode, and once you've changed the mode you can change the power. Set them manually. I use them for product photography quite a lot. I have one either side of a light tent with the onboard flash and the D700 triggering them. Really good, really simple, well built, just as well built as the Nikon SB600, so they're really good. I went to a photography show in February and they had these on special offer. This is the Mark II Di622. This one is in Nikon mount, so it's got full ITTL compatibility. As you can see, the difference between them, slightly different backs. This one's still only got 2 buttons, but you can see you can change the EV there, exposure value. There's also a little button here which changes the mode. This one does wireless ITTL as well, so you can control it using the commander mode in the D700, which is really good. And on here I've got a Gary Fong light sphere thing, which doesn't really fit properly, but does the job. I use this one on the camera occasionally to fire the other two, or just on its own. That's all the main gear: the lenses, the camera, the flash. I've got loads of other little accessories, but these are the things I use the most. Circular polarizers, I use them a lot when I do landscapes. This one's a Hoya Pro 1 72mm, which was actually sat in my cupboard for months and months until I discovered that the Samyang had a 72mm thread, so I've used that on there recently. I've also got a Kood circular polarizer 77 on the 24-70, which just works really well. The price difference between the Kood and the Hoya, bearing in mind the Hoya is smaller, the Hoya is still a lot more expensive, and it is better quality. You can feel in the ring it's much better quality, it's much smoother, but the results from the Kood are really good. And this I bought not long ago and haven't actually used properly yet, is a Lightcraft Workshop ND500, which is a 9-stop ND filter for your really long exposures. I'm going away next weekend to Brighton, which has an old disused pier. I'm going to try that out, get some nice long exposures with the sea, milky sea. So yeah, I'll be using that. That costs about £50, so can't complain at that really. It's a 77mm filter thread to fit the 16-35 and the 24-70. And last but not least, the Giottos Cue Ball rocket blower. Clean your lenses, clean your camera, clean your face, and as I found out, scare Polish security when you go through the airport who think it's a hand grenade. It's not a hand grenade, it's a rocket blower. So yeah, that's pretty much all my equipment. I'm not going to go through all the bags. I've got loads of bags. I've got loads of other little bits and pieces that no one really cares about. I just wanted to show you the main equipment I use, the lenses and the camera. As I said, I'll do full in-depth video reviews of each lens. I'll try and put sample pictures up of each one once I've figured all this out. This is a fairly new venture, so yeah, that's that. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you've got any questions about any of the lenses, about the camera, if you want anything in particular reviewed, I'll try and review it for you if I can get it, if I've got it. So yeah, that's that. Soon I'm going to have a website up and running, be photox.co.uk. I'll put all the links in the video to that. So until then, hope you enjoyed. Goodbye.